Recently, there was a study done that showed a lot of kids want to grow up and be YouTubers. That's like their number one dream job. And I imagine that a lot of people think it's just this amazing thing to be able to do for your job. And I thought, considering that I've been doing YouTube full time for the past 5 years or so, I'm in somewhat of a good position to explain whether or not being a YouTuber is worth it. What are the benefits? What are the things that are kind of good and bad about it, and also obviously the negatives, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows, I can guarantee you that. So that's what we're going to go over today. Before we do jump in though, I want to quickly thank the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform for easily building professional style websites for anything from an online store to a photography portfolio, with plenty of tools for marketing, analytics, and more. You can learn more through the link in the description. So now, let's get started. So to begin, we can start off with the benefits, and some of these might be pretty obvious. A lot of them have to do with just being self-employed in general, but we'll still go over them. So the first set have to do with the freedoms you get in how you do your work. You have a lot of freedom in how you go about doing your work, such as the hours you make. You can work whatever hours you want. You can get up early and go to bed early, or if you want to stay up all night and do the videos in pitch black when everyone else is sleeping, you can choose to do that too. You don't have to get up and do 9 to 5, whatever. Also, you'll probably have the ability to live anywhere. Assuming you're going to be working from home and making videos at home, you can pretty much live anywhere. You don't have to go to a certain company that has an office in some location. So you can live in a cheaper area. You can live in a state that has like no income tax, like Texas or Florida, whatever. You can really just go wherever you want. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you can work from anywhere. For example, all my studio equipment is here. I do all the work from home. It would be actually really difficult to bring all the equipment like on a vacation and work there. So you can at least live anywhere you want, but you can't necessarily work from anywhere unless you're like a vlogger type person, or depending on the channel you have. Now next, the third of these freedoms is you have complete creative control over the videos you make. So you can make videos about whatever you want, though keep in mind, you'll probably realize, okay, if you make a video about something that the audience hates or has no interest in, yeah, you could make whatever you want, but you are a little bit restricted because of the idea that you still need to make videos that the audience wants to see. So yes, technically you have complete freedom, but not as much as you might think. You still have to really work on the videos that actually are going to get views and kind of focus on them. Now, next up, another big benefit you get from just being self-employed is you get to make tax deductions. Yes, tax is very fun stuff, but really anything related to doing YouTube, you can deduct as an expense on your taxes, so you don't have to actually pay taxes on that thing. It doesn't mean it's free. That's a big misconception. People think, oh, you bought a camera, it's free because you get to deduct it. No, you still have to pay for it. It's just you save a little bit come tax time, so you might save like 20% or so that compared to if you were to just buy it for your personal self. And you can deduct a lot of stuff like home office. I have a whole room that's dedicated to making videos and a studio, so I get to deduct that percentage from my rent. And also anything I buy that is related to making videos, whether that's things I'm going to review or things I even mention in videos, things I use to make videos, all of that can be expensed, not necessarily deducted. I think those are two separate terms, but they can be expensed to reduce your taxes. Now, the final, what I guess I would call a pure benefit before we get to the stuff that's both good and bad, is that really being a full-time YouTuber is just kind of impressive to other people. I don't know why. I mean, I understand why, but to me, it's just a job. I don't think it's that impressive, but whenever you tell people, oh, you do YouTube, they're like, wow, oh my gosh, wow, it's so amazing. It's like, yes, it's very cool, I see why, but I don't think it's as glamorous as people see, but it's still nice that, you know, you tell people about it, they think it's pretty cool, it's just a nice little ego boost, even though from the inside looking out, you kind of understand it's not really as impressive as these people think it is, but still, I guess it's kind of cool. All right, so the next few things we can talk about are both good and bad, depending on how you look at it. So the first of these is that when you're a YouTuber and really being self-employed in general, you have no defined income. Now, this is good because you might have a lot of success, your business might take off a lot, and then you make a lot more money, which compared to working on a salary, you know, you might work your butt off and then make a ton of money for the company, but you still get paid the same unless it's like you get bonuses or something. But the flip side of that is you're not guaranteed like a salary. So if you have a bad month, you just kind of have to eat it and hope you saved up enough money to cover it. So you still have to work for every penny that you get. Though you do have a lot more flexibility in ways to make money. So obviously there's AdSense, which means the more views you get, the more ads get displayed, the more money you make. But you can also do things like getting sponsored deals. So if you are having a particularly bad month in terms of AdSense, then you could just take on more sponsorship deals to offset that and make about the same, but that obviously is going to require more work. So yeah, you do have a lot more control over the amount you make, but not complete control, and you still have to work for it. All right, now the next benefit / curse is that you are completely responsible for all the work you put out and how you put it out. So this is kind of what I touched on before about choosing your own hours. You get to choose when to do your own hours, but the flip side of that is you still have to put those hours in, and you have to make sure they get done no matter what. So if you procrastinate and put off an entire days of work or 2 days, and you know this video probably should have taken 3 days, but you are down to crunch time, there's only one left, well then you might be working late into the night when you wanted to just relax at the end of the day. You can't really do that because you really have to put those restrictions on yourself, because otherwise if you're not disciplined, then there's no one to actually hold you accountable except yourself. And I know there have been plenty of times for me at least where, I probably should have started a video earlier. I didn't, I put it off, and then I end up working the entire weekend on it, and it just sucks. And another really important thing about this is even though you have complete control over your channel, creative control, you can make whatever videos you want, it's not as easy to come up with really good video ideas as it may seem. You see a lot of YouTubers just cranking out videos like, wow, these are all really good videos. I can just imagine behind the scenes how much work actually went into just coming up with those ideas. It's a lot more than you may think. I honestly think that coming up with video ideas and actually good ones and fleshing them out is the most difficult part of any video. If you come up with a really good video idea, it practically writes itself. And when you go to make an outline or whatever, you're like, yeah, this and this and this, I pretty much know exactly what I want to talk about in this video. It really just flows well. But the other side of that is if you are just stuck and you get a writer's block type situation where, it's just a couple days before a video has to come out, you have no ideas, and it's just very, very frustrating, and you have nothing to do, and you want to be able to work on a video, but you have no good ideas that you think are even worth making, so it's really tough in that regard. So I will add that really coming up with video ideas is a 24/7 type job. You're always trying to come up with good ideas because you never want to get to that point, which happens very frequently though, ironically, you never want to get to the point where it's crunch time for a video, you really have to start working on it or you're not going to be done, but you have no ideas for what to even make. That just sucks, and I've been there plenty of times, and that will happen. All right, now the final thing that's both good and bad about being a YouTuber is you are overall, at the end of the day, completely responsible for your successes, but also your failures. And look, it's so easy to try and blame the algorithm. Oh, the algorithm ruined my video. Oh, the algorithm is why my channel's not doing well this month. But really, when it comes down to it, your decisions and the videos you choose to make really are the biggest factors, and you can usually tell, or at least I can, if I've been having a bad month, but deep down I kind of know, well, I haven't made as many videos that I know do really well. I've been kind of experimenting a little bit more, and I kind of neglected the heavy hitter videos. Maybe I should make more of those that I know are really popular. So you kind of do know on some level that you really are the person that really guides how well the channel is going to be doing. And if you're having a bad month, then typically you're going to have to go back and maybe do some videos that you don't like making, but they do really well, that sort of thing. All right, so those were the good things and the sort of good and bad things, but next section, we're going to talk about the actual just completely negative things about being a YouTuber, and there are plenty of them. Like I said, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but before we get to that, let me tell you about today's sponsor. Like I mentioned before, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform that makes it extremely easy to set up a domain and website, even if you have no prior experience with that type of thing. You can pick from any of the template designs to start with, and there are plenty of categories for whatever type of website you want to create, from like an e-commerce site to a blog, a local business, a personal portfolio for photography, just to name a few. And there are lots of powerful back-end tools as well for things like appointment scheduling right through your website, customizable email campaigns, and of course analytics to see things like traffic sources, page views, and time on site. If you're interested, you can check out squarespace.com/TheoJoe for a free trial and save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And that link will also be in the description. So now let's continue. All right, so finally, let's get into the negatives of being a YouTuber. And the first of which is a lot of times it really does just feel like you're working purely for an algorithm, a computer, instead of the actual audience. Now, this might seem a little bit contrary to what I was just talking about, how you have control over your success and failures, but on a micro level, on a video to video basis, there is a lot that has to do with the algorithm that you can't reason with it, you can't explain to it. Sometimes things do happen that you don't understand. You're like, why did this video not do well? The viewers all seem to like it. Everyone commenting liked it, but it just didn't get recommended out to a lot of people, maybe because the click-through rate wasn't really good. And you could say, oh, well, maybe the thumbnail wasn't that good, but you kind of always wonder in the background, maybe the algorithm just isn't that good. It didn't recommend it to the right people, whatever, the subscription feed, all that sort of stuff. You kind of get in your head that you are just kind of working for videos that are just going to perform better with the algorithm and not necessarily with the people. And that kind of can screw with your head a little bit, that you're like working for a robot. And really the worst feeling of being a YouTuber is putting in a ton of work into something. You put your heart and soul into a video, you put in extra work, and then it's a dud, and people like it, but it just doesn't get recommended to a lot of people, and you're like, what the hell? I put so much work into this, and it's like a really terribly performing video, and it's not like you can go to the algorithm and say, no, please recommend this to more people, trust me, it's a good video. You can't do it. It does not care. It's just machine learning, and it's just gonna do whatever it does, and if it doesn't do well, it's game over, and basically that video will just die. So yeah, it can be pretty frustrating. All right, now the next straight up negative of being a YouTuber is there's no safety nets like you might get with a traditional employer. So there's no paid time off, there's no sick leave or whatever. It's like if you're not working, you're not making money. The only safety nets you have are the ones that you go and plan and create for yourself. So that's like making videos a long time ahead of time, so if you do get sick, then you have a buffer that you can release even though you're not actively able to make videos. And that also includes saving up as much money as you can and not spending it all, obviously, because if you have a bad month, then if you spent all your money from the previous month thinking it was going to continue, well, then obviously you're kind of screwed. And a very common example of this is that the holiday months like October, November, December always have very good ad revenue. Ads are way up, but then come January, it literally cuts in half. Like, I'm not even kidding, your ad revenue will drop by half in January. And it's very easy to see your ad revenue up one month and think, oh, well, I can buy this new thing that I wanted, but without realizing that's probably not going to continue. So you really have to train yourself to assume the worst in the coming months, because you don't know if there's going to be another adpocalypse type situation. You really have to plan ahead and have a huge buffer in living expenses, because you don't have that stability of having a regular job where you get paid the salary no matter what. And I'll also add, being self-employed, you don't get any added benefits like health insurance that comes with a lot of jobs. You can deduct that from your taxes, but you still have to pay for it yourself. And like 401ks, a lot of times companies will do like contribution matches to your 401k. Now you can set that up sort of as a self-employed 401k. There are ways to do it, but it's not as much as you would just get like basically free money from contributing to a 401k from your employer. All right, now the next negative, and this kind of goes for just being self-employed, working from home in general, is that it can be very isolating. You're working from home, you don't really interact with that many people, and it can start to mess with your head a little bit. So you can do things like signing up for like a co-working space where you kind of go like WeWork or whatever the other ones are called, and then at least be around people, but that can be very expensive. So for the most part, you're probably just gonna be alone, and if you're like really extroverted and you wanna be around people, then it might be way better to work for an employer, work in an office, and instead of just working from home and being alone all the time. It can be a negative for some people, very much so. All right, now next up, the next negative is that the long-term career aspects of being a YouTuber is very debatable. I mean, you don't even know if YouTube is gonna be around in 10 years, something else is gonna pop up, take over. I don't know if that's going to be the case, because YouTube is pretty much a monopoly and it's a very high barrier to entry for a company like that, but still, something else might come along and be the better deal. And also, depending on the type of channel you make, you might yourself become irrelevant even if YouTube doesn't. Now, this is going to very much depend on the genre of your channel. So you want to, if you're thinking about doing this full time, you have to really carefully consider what type of channel yours is. So for mine, I specifically switched from making like joke tech videos, like comedy videos, to more real tech videos, because I believe that this type of video and channel is going to be much more longer term. So if you make a comedy video, things might be funny for a few years and then just get boring, or the channel might churn through it. But at least I think that if you're making videos about technology, there's always going to be new stuff coming out. And really, I don't feel like I personally am always the main focus of the channel. It's not like you're coming to see me specifically, but also the technology. So I kind of have something as a backup. So that way, even if I start to get boring in some people's eyes, I like to think that, well, if I just keep making really good videos about new technology coming out, they'll still be worth watching. All right, now the final negative, of course, are the haters. This is something that is just par for the course when you're making any online videos. Even if you're not doing it as a full-time YouTuber, you just have to deal with the haters and have a thick skin. No matter how good of a video you make, there are gonna be people who think it sucks and make like a 30-minute long perfect video. If you make one single mistake in that video, you better believe that the entire comment section is gonna be filled with people pointing out that mistake. Not necessarily haters in that case, but it is kind of frustrating. It's like, really, that's the one little thing you're gonna focus on. One time I misspoke in the video. And then of course there are people who will pick at you for whatever reason. They're like, ha, you're ugly, ha, you're stupid, I can't believe you said that, you're a complete idiot because I disagree with you, blah, blah, blah. People literally telling you should die because you have this opinion. It's ridiculous. So you almost have to get to the point where you just completely ignore almost all the comments. I mean, even to this day, I usually only stick to reading the comments during like the first hour or so of the video, because that's when people who are just subscribers are watching. And then after the video starts getting recommended out to the general population, you can definitely notice a turn in the quality of the comments. That's when the real people start showing up. If they have something bad to say, you better believe they're gonna say it. That's something you do definitely get used to, but if you're not used to it at the beginning, then it can be disheartening. Just understand it's part of it, just don't worry about it. All right, now the final thing I want to talk about is overall, is it worth it to become a YouTuber? And I will say, while there are a lot of benefits and a lot of negatives, for me personally, at this point, I am happy that I'm doing this. I wouldn't change it, but if you're just starting out and you're like, oh, I want to be a full-time YouTuber, do not get into this and get started from that perspective, because there is definitely a survivorship bias where people who are like big YouTubers, they're like, oh, it's amazing, oh, follow your dreams, do all this, but those are the people who made it. There's countless other people who put in a ton of work and their channel didn't really go anywhere. So the only way I would say to do this is do it as a hobby. Do it because you actually enjoy making the videos, and make videos you actually want to talk about, because then, you know what, even if it doesn't take off, you still made it. You still might get a small amount of views and the people who watch will enjoy it, but if you can't do it full time, who cares? That's really how I started out. I did not intend to go into this being full-time YouTuber. That kind of just fell into my lap when it started taking off more. I just started making videos that I thought were funny and interesting, and then I was very, very surprised when it started getting a lot of views, and then the rest was history. But seriously, believe me when I say you want to start out with this just doing it because you enjoy it. Because if you start making videos from the beginning that you like are not interested in, you're like, oh, it'll be worth it when they start making money. It doesn't work like that. If you hate making videos now, you're gonna hate it even more when you're doing it full time. Because at that point, when you're just starting out, there's really no pressure for it to be a successful video. If the video is a dud, no one watches your videos, whatever, then it doesn't matter. But imagine how much it's going to suck when your livelihood depends on it and you have to make videos with no choice, week after week on a rigid schedule, and then you're making these videos that you don't even want to, but you actually have to. I mean, that just is that would be the worst. Honestly, I would say that being a YouTuber is just another type of job. It's work. It's not easy. It's not like I get up and like, I get to be a YouTuber. No, it's like, all right, what do we have to do today? Okay. And then occasionally I'll have a video that I'm like, oh wow, that's a really good idea. I really want to make that video. Honestly, most of the videos I make, they're doing it because, yep, I got to stick to the schedule, and yep, this will probably be a good video, and that's fine, and I'm looking forward to making this video because I know it'll do well. But occasionally, again, there are times where I don't really have any good ideas, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll make this video, and that just, it sucks. It really does suck. So don't just think it's all like fun and games. So I guess that's really all I have to say about all that. So I want to thank Squarespace again for sponsoring this video, and be sure to check that same link again in the description. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you still think it would be completely worth it? Grass is always greener on the other side. Or do you think I'm just a complainer who doesn't know how good I've got it? Which I do think I have it pretty well, so don't get me wrong there. But let me know down in the comments. Always give this video a like if you enjoyed it. That way, again, the algorithm will recommend more videos like this to you. If you guys want to keep watching, the next video I'd recommend is a pretty fun one I did make where I wanted to see what would happen if you delete the Windows folder on your computer, and while it's running, it's a fun time, so you can just click on that right there. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.